Hello everybody, welcome to today's Fusion 360 live stream. My name is Angelo, and on the keyboards and in the chat helping me and answering questions, anything that comes up, is my good friend and buddy and Fusion wizard Brad Tallis. So this is a continuation of what we've done over the past few weeks. I've been going every 2 weeks. Brad has been going every 2 weeks, so we've been staggering. And Brad tells me that the audio is really quiet. Okay, 1 second. So I got Brad hitting me up here. So let me adjust something. And let me just verify that my audio is good. 1 second. All right. How's that, Brad? Can you let me know? Or if you guys, let's see. AL says the sound is quiet. Why is the sound quiet? Better? Okay, so let me try a couple of things here. Let me turn that volume up there. How's that now, guys? Can you hear? Maybe a bit more. Okay, so I'm turning things up. Weird, you know? So I have the same settings on everything as I did last time, and, you know, sometimes technical difficulties. Okay, Brad says I'm good. All right, guys, I can even speak up a little bit. I'm Croatian. I can speak loud. All right, so yeah, looks like Brad's hitting me up again. Okay, so just let me know. Let Brad know. He'll interrupt and he can ping me. I'll try to pay attention to the chat, but it's easier if I just focus on Fusion and the live stream. And but yeah, these are live. It's not really scripted. I just kind of go, you know, how I feel, and just show you guys Fusion. And sometimes we have technical difficulties, and you know, you gotta love technology. So all is well. So carrying on, like I said earlier, the last few weeks we've been doing these, and I just started really basic. So there's nothing super advanced, high level. All right, Brad. Thanks, Brad. Nothing super high level. The veteran users, there's nothing here really mind blowing. This is just the basics of Fusion to show you what you can do for the general user. We've got a vast group here. We got beginners and we have intermediate and advanced users. So I'm just starting super easy, super basic, and just to show you some of the things that we can do in Fusion. And over time, the topic and subject will get more difficult and challenging. But just starting super entry level here. So if you remember, let me switch screens. And I have to look down when I switch. I don't have that fancy button that Brad hit. So when I look down, that's what I'm doing. I have to find the button to switch screens. All right, so if you remember this part here, we've been working on this for the past couple sessions, and what we covered was the setup menu, everything in the setup, just to show you guys some of the things we can do. If you have any questions on what I've covered in the previous live streams, please put in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer that for you. All right, so what I wanted to cover today is, what do you do if you have this part and then you flip it over and you have some stock remaining, and how you do your setup for that, and then how we can make, let's say, this wall here. So you see that wall there? What if we had a bearing there and perhaps a bearing here? Whoops, accidentally double-clicked that. So what if we had a bearing in those two areas, and those two bores, we need to machine those in separate operations? How do we ensure that those two bores are concentric and in line? So we've got a few things that we can do, and I'm just going to show you one way. There's more than one way to do this, but just wanted to expose some of the workflows that us machinists use and how we could make it work for you. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just kind of breeze through these operations just to show you what we left off. And there's that one and this one. So what I want to do, let's see what this one does. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna simulate this just so we get an idea of what it looks like. And I'll speed that up so that it goes faster. I'd probably use a larger tool so it doesn't take so long to machine that, but I just wanted to give you the basics here. Let that run. Hopefully audio is still good. And let's speed that up here. So what we're looking at here, when we do simulation, the colorization here, I have it set to comparison. And everything that's green is finished stock, and everything that's blue is remaining material. So I'm not going to worry too much about these pockets here and finishing those. That's not what this live stream is about. It's just kind of going through the setup and how we use the setup to get what we want. So almost done there. Little tip here. So when you hit pause and you can hit play and it's running, you could left mouse click anywhere in the Fusion screen and just kind of scrub back and forth so you can see your tool. Now, as you're doing this, keep in mind it's your computer's processing all that, so you will get a delay in the stock representation. So be mindful of that. All right, so let me hit play, and now it's catching up. You can see barely in the bottom, there's that red bar way down on the bottom of this area here. So that red bar, that's Fusion kind of calculating and putting the material to where my tool currently is, because I kind of scrubbed backwards and then it has to start calculating again and showing that. So that's a delay here. And I'm looking on the YouTube feed, and I don't know if you could see that, but it's at the bottom of that green bar. It's scrubbing through. I see a red bar on my side. When you do it on your end, you'll also see that. Okay, now it's caught up. So we've got this stock here, and that's basically what it looks like. Now, when I zoom in here, I can see that bore is finished. We get these multiple colors here. That's because it's kind of layered on top of each other. Blue, I still need to finish that bore. So let me do that really quick. So a couple ways to do that. We've got bore, circular, 2D contour. Wow, we've got so many choices how we would finish that. One way you can do is just hit circular. And just like if you're doing drilling in Fusion, so make sure you get the right tool. Fusion, remember, is the last tool that I use. So that's tool 1, 1/2 inch flat end mill. And here under geometry, circular face selection, I'm just gonna click on that wall. And Fusion already gave me a toolpath. And there's some multiple step downs and all of that. That's all handled here. So let me talk quickly about the heights. So heights looks at the top of the hole and the bottom of the hole. And so it already knows, let me move my mouse there. It already knows where this edge is and that edge is, because it's looking at the model and it's picking up that cylinder. So I really don't have to do much there. These defaults, I'll just leave those how they are. And then we get these multiple step downs. Where's that controlled? Here under passes. Passes is everything that's handled when the tool is in the material. So multiple depths, it's saying take 1 millimeter each step down. So I'll uncheck that. And now what it's gonna do, it's just gonna do that in one pass. So if I zoom in here, you could see there's that yellow is rapid, and then in the green, it's gonna feed in, it's gonna arc on, mill around, and do that pass. Now, one thing I like to do sometimes is hit repeat passes. And what repeat passes does what repeat passes does, so if you have your bore or contour or anything, the tool will mill, and then what happens when you're cutting is because the force is on the tool, you do get some deflection. So the tool will push away, and I'm talking microns, like very, very little. So, and it also depends on how heavy the cut was. So the tool, instead of being flat against the wall, I'm going to exaggerate, it's like that. And so what you'll notice, if you do repeat passes, it will mill around. And then the second time, it's just going to take what we call a spring pass. So it's just going to repeat that pass. And what you'll see, that it will then just barely rub and remove some of that material to make sure your wall is perfectly perpendicular. So that's what that repeat passes does. And I use that all the time on my finishing passes. You also have to be mindful that you have some good chip evacuation, because if there's a pocket there full of chips and the tool comes back around, that's going to recut all those chips, and it's going to make the wall, the finish, not so great. So be mindful of that there's no chips in the way. All right, so coming back to Fusion. So I'm going to leave repeat passes on, and linking, I'm not going to really do anything here. I will point out, you could check this. So pay attention to this yellow line here. If I do lead to center, now it's going to plunge the tool in the center and then walk around. So let's just run a simulate on that. A couple ways to do that. You can right mouse click on the operation and hit simulate here. I'm going to uncheck stock and hit play. So there's that one. It's going to mill around, and it's starting and stopping in the center. And if I go back to it, under linking, I can now uncheck that, and now it's going to plunge here, closer to the wall. So it's a little quicker, less machining time. Let me right mouse click that and hit simulate and hit play. So now you can see it's milling around twice. All right, so now I've got that wall finished, and this bore should have finished this guy. I'm just going to leave that with the multiple steps. And let me just verify there's no stock to leave. Yeah, stock to leave is off. So what stock to leave is, it'll leave material behind. You can come back through with a follow-up tool or another tool and finish that wall. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. Again, I didn't go through and finish all of this. I just wanted to show you some of the things that we can do. All right, Almir Kakosi, I see you there. Benzi, okay. Brad, looks like Brad is answering the questions. Thanks, Brad. All right, so now what I want to do, let's simulate this guy one more time, just so we can see what the stock will look like. I'll turn the stock on. Under comparison, I'll hit play, and I'm going to speed that up. And also another thing, what you can do, you can click this guy here to go to the next move, or this to go to the next operation. And then it'll just step through. The alternative to that, you can just click it here in the browser. This is our browser off to the left. And then it will scrub through. Again, it's scrubbing through. You can't see it, but here where this green bar is, underneath, I have a red little mark. And as it's scrubbing from left to right, as the stock simulation is catching up, just my processor is working through that. And then again, if you left mouse click anywhere in your screen, you could scrub through. So it's super handy. So Brad just let me know, Eyal asked a question, can you see the machining time for each toolpath? And the answer is yes. So let me hit play just to scrub through this. And again, it's got a little bit of a delay because it's calculating all that material. All right, so let me answer that question. So based on, so if I come here to this operation, the facing operation, if I right mouse click, I can come down here to machining time. And if I click that, that'll expose this machining time dialog over here on the right. And what it says, it gives me the total feed distance, total feed time in minutes, that's 14 minutes. Now, that seems rather long, and where it gets all of these numbers here is if you come into the operation, right mouse click, edit. So it's taking these numbers here, your surface feed, the cutting feed rate, feed per tooth, and then the linear feed rates, all of that, and it's taking that and the distance, and that's how it comes up with the cycle time. So we do have, when you run this, so let's say, for example, you do in fact run it at your machine, and you get a machining time, and you're getting something like 12 minutes. We have this feed scale. So that was at 50. So what if I do 100? See, now it's 7 minutes. So that's why it seemed a little long. So you have this scale where you can adjust it up and down, and just to get it more exact, because there's other things on the CNC machine tool that we need to consider, because we don't know, Fusion doesn't know how fast your acceleration and deceleration is on your servo motors. There's all those little things that come into play. So we have that feed scale so that you could adjust it to tweak Fusion to match what you get at your machine tool. And once you have that, then what we have is people that use this to give estimates when they're quoting a job or bidding on a job. I'll get a model, I'll quickly assign some toolpath, maybe some adaptive roughing, put a couple finishing toolpaths like pocketing or 2D contour, maybe some bore, put some drilling in there. And as long as my speeds and feeds of my tool match what I intend to use, you can get pretty close. And then you can use that to give a quote or an estimate to your customer. And then you can also, it also helps with scheduling, machine utilization and time in the shop. So that's very useful for that. So thanks for asking that, AL. All right. So I'll close out of that. And what I wanted to do next, oh, and then you could also click on the whole thing and get the machining time for the whole setup. So it says total feed time 238. Again, I'd have to go through and validate and verify that my speeds and feeds for each tool are accurate. Now for my international audience, I am using metric here. What we get a lot of times in our live streams, we being in the US, we tend to use imperial or inch, and then the international audience always asks, hey, can you guys do metric? So I'm doing metric here for you guys. All right, so coming back to this, what I want to do, and you'll see I made a folder just to do some proper housekeeping, and I have all my milling ops in there. Now I can even separate the probing ops into another folder. And if you did not catch the previous live streams, it's just right here, new folder. And what that does, that will insert a new folder into your or under your operation, and then you can name it and drag and drop the operations in there. So I just like to use that for good housekeeping. So let's come back and we will simulate what we have, and then I'm going to show you the workflow on the current method. We do have in process stock. That's under preview. I don't have that on because when you're doing things under preview, consider it like beta, and beta is still under testing. And what you can get sometimes is instability and crashing, or it doesn't work 100% because it's still under preview. It's not yet fully matured and released and ready for production. So we'll let this guy play through. Let me drag that all the way so it speeds through. And then now while this is going, we have a couple other things I'll talk about. Mode. What is tail? Tail is just shows like a tail off the tool. And you can see in this image here, and it really helps so you can see your toolpath. So you can do all, before, after, or just for that operation, or tail. Right now I have tail. So if I do for this whole operation, you get all of this, and it gets pretty noisy. Another thing you can do is show points, and you'll get these black dots. So these black dots are each individual. So let me turn stock off. And let me hit play again, and let me pause. So these black dots are each individual line of code. So in your CNC machine, it'll go, so that will be a coordinate in your code, like a G1 or a G2 or a G3, which is a straight line, a clockwise arc, or counterclockwise arc. And then so each one of these black dots is a single line of code. So you can click on things, and it's really good if you're running through and checking things out. You can come over and click on any of these, and it will place the tool right there. So it's super helpful if you want to go through and analyze. But then keep in mind, those black dots gets kind of noisy. So you can deselect that. And you can still select anywhere and just click, and it'll position your tool where it's at. Super helpful. So that's a little pro tip there. So let me turn the stock back on, and we'll hit play. Oh yeah, and then the other way is just show the material here. Let me hit play and let that scrub through. So I will let that simulate, and let me put my tail back on to clean that up. Again, I would use a larger tool. This live stream isn't all about the perfect sequence. All right, let me take a quick look on the chat. So Almir said he likes to hear his language. So yes, I am Croatian. All right, M4, you are very welcome for the tips. All right. So that's all good. It has posted. And so this is a representation of what the part will look like right now. So how do we start moving over to the secondary operations? So what you do is you right mouse click, and it'll bring up this menu. And I can come down here and come to stock, and I could save my stock. And then it'll ask, okay, where do you want to save it? So let me just put it in my, put it on my desktop, and I will hit save. And then the file name is stock.stl. I will hit save, and now it will save that file onto my desktop. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use that for the second operation when I flip the part over. Now I probably would maybe want to contour all the way around this so I don't have these all this material here, but in order to save some time, because we always tend to run out of time on our live streams, I will leave it as is. Okay, so how do we handle that? So what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to switch over to Design Workspace. Okay, and let me come over to here. And what I need to do is insert mesh. So an insert mesh, will be an STL mesh file. So I'm going to say insert mesh. I'm going to find that stock, and I'm going to hit open. And it immediately brought in that mesh file. And I have the option to move it around, but I don't want to move it around. And be mindful, my unit type is millimeter. Be mindful if you're an inch, you'll need to make sure you're in millimeter. All right, so now if I hit OK, now I inserted that mesh, and where it's gonna land, I'm gonna come to my browser here, and here I have this mesh body. So let me unhide both. So here's the body of my part, body 1, and then here's my mesh body. So it's all triangulated. Maybe Brad will, we can do a live stream where Brad can show you how to work with these and clean things up. I just really just need this to define my stock. So I'm just going to show my body. I will unhide that, or hide that, not unhide that. Okay. So now I've brought the mesh body in that I'm going to use for my stock. And I see that AL says this sort of breaks the parametric flow. Yes, we have, let me come over here. AL, I'll point this out. Preferences. Navigate to the top right and go to Preferences. And under Preview, so we'll get this box, you'll navigate to Preview. And if you come down here under Manufacture, you could come down here and take a look at things that are in preview. Again, these are like beta testing things. It's not fully matured. Here is what you're looking for. In process stock. This is still in the works. It adds the mesh, and what it does, it'll keep track of your stock. But look at this performance issue. So because I don't want any issues, especially during a live stream, I don't have that enabled right now. But you can take a look at any of these. This is available to everybody, and you can start playing with things, machine simulation, all kinds of goodness that our awesome development team are working on. You can turn any of these on and play with it and provide feedback to us. So, wow, this list is long. So, yeah, that's something that we're working on to get it seamless and parametric and easy. But I don't have that on. I'm showing you the older workflow that I've shown in a previous live stream as well. All right, so I'm going to just cancel out of this. Again, to get back to that, if you missed it, you'll navigate to the top right-hand corner. You will click on the icon there, go to Preferences, and then you'll navigate here to Preview, Features, and then you can turn anything on or off. Okay. All right, so let me cancel out of that. So now that I've got that mesh body in that represents what my stock is going to look like, I will come to Manufacture. And because my op1 is highlighted, that's what you're seeing here. I'm going to come here. So that's my setup, but I'm just going to show you here. If I do a new setup, couple of things that we have been talking about. Machine, I already covered that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Again, I want to save time. We are doing a milling operation, work coordinate system, model. So here under body, that's what Fusion is looking at for what are you machining. I'm going to jump over here quickly to the stock because right now Fusion is giving me a relative size box based on my model size. It's just adding a millimeter on the sides. It's adding a millimeter on the top and nothing on the bottom. But I don't want that. I want to navigate here to this drop down and I want to say from solid. So if I click solid, I can now come over here to the model and I'll navigate. I'll expand this here. And what I'm looking for is that mesh body. And now Fusion sees what that stock looks like. So that's what that stock looks like. And those are the dimensions of it. So now when I come back here to the setup, I've got some options here. So what's the orientation? It's looking at the model orientation. I can select my Z and X. So let's navigate, flip over to this side. I will click that, saying that's my Z, normal. And then X. In what direction is my X? If I click on a line, so notice my X is highlighted. If I click on a line, it will be in line with that. The X will be in line with that line, that edge. So if I zoom in, we can see that edge is highlighted in blue. And the X arrow is pointing that way. And remember in my previous live stream, I talked about those colors. If you think about RGB, red, green, blue for the old monitors, RGB is X, Y, Z. So if you're not happy with the direction, you can simply click on this arrowhead. Watch as I hover over, that arrowhead color changes, and I can now click that, and it flips it. You also have this option checkbox here. You'll get slightly different behavior sometimes based on what's selected, but you can also flip it there. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. And then again, what I did here is I clicked on the face, and it's normal to, and I happen to click on an edge here. If I clicked on a face, like for example, that flat face with this highlighted, so let me just come in there, and now that face would be my X direction, and now I can flip that. So again, you've got a whole lot of options for this. We could even, let's go back and put our X in line with this edge, just so that our X is in line with our stock. And then, do you guys remember, so check it out, when I clicked on this face here, do you guys remember we talked about, oops, hold on, Siri on my phone just started making some noises. When we were talking about here, if for some reason things are off, do I even want to go there right now? I'm in the middle of my setup. Let me finish my setup, and then I can touch on that. Okay, so we've got our setup. We've defined our Z orientation. We've defined our X orientation. And now we need to tell it what the origin is. Where is our 0, 0 going to be? Now you have some options. If you do stock box point, you could then pick some points on your stock. You can come off your model, so it will go to the extents of your model. So it'll put, it'll draw like a bounding box around your model, and you can then pick those points. But I'm gonna do something like a selected point, and I can click on this bore, something like that. And we've got that stock there, and I needed to make sure, did I even go all the way through on that? Let's turn that body on. And it's not all the way through, or is it? So I was hoping that I'd be able to probe through that bore and pick that up. Now what I would need to do to fix that is, let's just cancel out of this, and let's go back here. So we don't have a through hole here. So how do we fix that? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back to this operation, and on this bore, and I think I even mentioned that, but I forgot to go all the way through. So let's go a few millimeters through the bottom and just verify that it will go all the way through. And let's hit OK. And what we're going to do, I'm going to redo this. Let's regenerate. And this one needs to be regenerated. So what this notification says, it says, hey, Angelo, one or more operations do not require regeneration. Do you want to regenerate the operation anyway? If you hit yes, it will then go through and recalculate all of these. But that adaptive takes some time. So I'm going to hit no. If I hit no, it's only going to regenerate the one that needs it, which is this one here. And let me turn that body on. And our bore, let's validate and verify that that goes all the way through. So now I can see that that bore is going all the way through. So now if I right mouse click, we can simulate. And let's play this guy really quick to get through that. I'm just going to verify that that hole goes all the way through. So I'll have that bore to pick up for my 0. Okay, so AL says I bored the external top hole, need to bore the internal one. So yeah, that's this guy here, right there, where my cursor is highlighting. And I should have probably just skipped over that adaptive, but we're good. Let that go through. Again, you're kind of watching how a machinist thinks and works and goes through the process and steps through all of this. So look at that. We've got that. We'll have that to deal with, and I don't really want that there. So let's make on our adaptive, let's come here and edit that. And on our heights, let's come down through to verify we come deep enough and regenerate and just rough that. I could have just done a pocketing cycle there on that bore, but let's let that calculate really quick. And based on my settings, it's not really quick. We'll just let that go a moment. I'll take a quick look at the chat. Do a Tim Paul move and cut it through the... Okay, Morgan, do a Tim Paul move and rough cut it through on op 2. Some stock to leave and hit it with the probe for perfection. Exactly. That's what I was going to do. I was going to face and, hit those bores and leave it rough. And then do a semi-finishing, probe it, and run it. And I might have to jump to something else because that's taking kind of long. Let's see, AL, can you change the type of operation? Change from circular to pocket. Yes, I could have. I could have just come up here, so while that's going, I could have done just a pocket here and selected that, set my height to model bottom, and even go down a couple millimeters through. And that would have done it too. But now I've got this guy going here. I shouldn't have even done that, but it's all good. It's all good, fellas. Let me delete that. All right. So while that's going here, let me take a quick, I'll scrub through. Is there an option? So Martin Markov is there. Let me switch over here. Okay. So is there, let me look at the chat here. Is there an option to optimize stock size and maybe orient axis to the stock? Yeah, so based on your X selection, that's the how it will orient the stock. Hopefully that answers. Let's see, Benzie, AL, oh, okay, that's what I was thinking. No, I meant as an edit to an existing operation. So what you're talking about, Can you right click and edit that and change the type of operation? No, but what you can do, you could take this bore and I can right mouse click and say create derived operation, and then use all those settings and say, let's make that a 2D contour, and it will take what my selections are. But because I picked a face, there was no chain. A better option for that would be if I came here, and because that was a bore type operation, very similar to drilling, and if I made a derived operation and I change that to circular, and then now it would pick up that face, and all of this, it would retain everything, and I don't want multiple depths. So that's how you would do that. And then you can drag this guy up here, and then so now I've got that one, and I've got this guy here, and I could delete that one. This one here, you could come in here. Oh, Brad's calling me. I need to switch my screen. Sorry. Thank you, Brad. I don't know why that why the message didn't come through. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Doing this live. We're all humans here. We make mistakes. All right. Okay. So what I've done is I took that one bore operation and I right mouse click, and I did derive, and now that's a circular, and now I can change that or make it a bore operation. It would then use the same selection, so I clicked on that face, remember, and then the passes, it would have remembered any settings. So the pitch is the step down. Well, I'll just leave that how it is. Okay, so that bore is done. Okay. And let's okay that one. Man, my computer is slow today. Some of my selections are making it, it's on my smoothing settings. All right, let me take a quick look at the chat. Okay, so Benzie, did I cover that again? Is that okay, or should I show that one more time? Let me take a look, make sure that I'm not missing any messages from Brad. All right. Okay, yes, so we derived the operation. Okay. This is still super slow. I think what I'm going to do, I should have just left that guy locked, and where's my pocketing operation? Let me pocket that out. While that's going, while that's calculating, let's do a 2D pocket and come here. Height, so I'm going to go to the model bottom, and let me look at it from the front, and if I hit, make sure we go down through, so that blue line, the toolpath will go down to that blue line. Passes, I'm just going to do a stock to leave right here. Radial stock to leave, axial stock to leave. I go to 0, so it does go to that depth, and there we go. Should have just done that from the beginning, because this adaptive is taking way too long. Should have just done a bigger aggressive pass, and now I'm kind of in between. Should I abort it? There it is. Okay, so that is done now. Okay, so now we'll take this 2D pocket and we'll put it there, even though this guy already went through. So now let's come here, right mouse click, and we'll do a quick simulate. And I'll scrub through really quickly. Yeah, Robin Lucas, that's an adaptive strategy. That's a small diameter tool. You were late to the party here, but I would use a larger tool for that. And then I would even just walk around with the 2D contour to cut out the shape of the part, just to get rid of all of that material as a big giant slug. What people also do is take these to a water jet. See, that looks better. Now that's through. All right, so it's scrubbing through. We're almost done, guys. Let that guy go through. Okay, so now we're done. Now, if you remember, we're going to cover this again. That's good. It's happening live. So I'll right mouse click anywhere in space, and I got this stock here. And I'm going to say save stock. Where am I going to save it? I'll put on my desktop, and what I want to call it, I'll call it stock. Replace the previous one, and I'll hit save there. Okay, so now I hit close. Come over to the design workspace. Come to the mesh body. I'm going to delete that old one. And what we need to do is insert that new one. Insert mesh. I'm going to navigate here. I'll hit open. So now that stock came in. I verify the units and I'll hit OK. So if you came late, now under the bodies here under our browser, we've got body 1, which is the part, and then mesh body 2, which is the stock representation. So I will leave this like this. I will come to manufacturing workspace. And what I need to do is create a new setup. And the first thing I'm going to do is come to my stock and do from solid. I will now navigate to that mesh body. And Fusion now picked that up. So that blue is a preview of my stock. And then the model body here, that's body 1. And that's what I want for my stock. And under... remember we just talked about this earlier. I can say that's my Z, and my X will be this line, and I'll flip that this way. And for 0 point, if I just grab that edge, now the center of that bore is going to be my 0, X0, Y0, Z0 on my setup. Okay. So we'll leave that like that. We do have the thickness of the stock to worry about. And so we can come in there and probe. But what I'm going to do is just show you how I would handle that. And we did talk about post-process in the first of this series. Okay. So let's give that the program name, program comment. I will give it op2, and WCS offset 1 would give me a G54. Number 2 would give me a G55. I will leave that like that. So now I'm ready to start cutting here. So let's throw a facing operation. I could even just take this one and copy, paste. I'll just show you what a new one would look like. So let's just hit OK, and it'll face that part. You could do things like parallel, so it's not cutting air, but I'll just leave that like this here. So what I'll do is I'll remove that top material. And then what I'm going to do is come to my setup. And then I could probe. I've got my 6mm probe, and I can just come here under model and click, and that will then hit my Z surface and probe and hit that top surface to make that my Z0. And you know what I forgot to do before the face? I forgot to hit the XY, the bore. So let's do that. And I'm just going to hit this wall. And what I need to do is remove that because that bore only goes to here. Okay, so now that will set our X0, Y0. Let me drag this face down here. Okay, so we'll hit this one. We'll hit our bore. And then I want to face it. Come on. Okay, so we'll probe the bore. We will face it. And then we'll come and hit the top surface. So then what that will do is give me the Z coming from the top. Now I could have done stuff off the bottom and set my Z0 off of that. That probably would make more sense. And then my WCS, what I would do is select the bottom bore. Should I even do that? What do you guys think? So if I wanted to do that, let's say when I flip it over, because we know we've got that bottom surface is machined, and I want to probe my Z as the bottom of the part there, I would, here under the edge, where I selected that top edge, I would select this bottom edge. And then I would make sure my Z is pointing up. Come on. And I would hit this, and there. And flip my Z. There we go. So that's probably a better workflow, guys. So you would hit Z of the table, of your table, and then that will establish your Z0, and then we would probe the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this one because we don't need that now because, again, I'm not working off a script. I'm just kind of going as we're talking through this. So let me right mouse click, regenerate this. And first thing, what'll happen, so what I'll do manually is before I run my operation, I'll hit my Z of the table, and then when I generate my code, I would probe the bore to make sure that guy is zeroed out, and then face it, and then I can come into here and finish with a no, not a bore. Let's just do a 2D contour, which is right here, and hit that guy. I can do multiple passes if I wanted to, maybe 2 finishing passes at 0.5 mil, and no stock to leave. And there's my finish. And then if I wanted to post this guy, I would, let's go, we didn't talk about today NC programs, but we did talk about it in the first live stream of the series. So NC program, what that does, it captures everything and what you want to do for your, let's see, we want Haas Next Gen here. Where's my Haas? I need to change to my cloud and come to here, and here's my Haas Next Gen. Where's the latest? There we go. I'm not going to have any of the A, B, or C on. We did already talk about this in the first live stream of this series. Let's hit post and see what we get. And here's our code. Hopefully you can see the code, and there it is. So it would then probe, set our 0 of our X and Y of that. So, holy moly, we're already on time. That was quick. Was not expecting the hour to go by so quickly. So Jake's was asking, are we holding this part bolted to a fixture plate or soft jaws? Yeah, just a fixture plate, or even soft jaws, it doesn't matter. We didn't really talk about that, how we're holding it today. I was just kind of going through, let me switch my screen. Jake, yeah, there's many ways to hold this, many ways to hold this part. You can hold it in a vise depending on the size. Obviously, if it's a big plate like that, then your vise isn't even that big. But yeah, just wanted to kind of touch base and show you guys one workflow. Now, that's not the only workflow. We've got many other ways we can do it. And what we're going to do is just keep this conversation going. Just nerd out on cam and machining. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat just to see if there's anything, and then also see if Brad sent me anything. No, nothing from Brad. Looks like we're good. Benzie, Jakes, filed, Al, everybody, thank you for being here, part of our live stream. These go quick. These are a lot of fun. I enjoy them. Brad enjoys doing them, and we're actually going to end on time. That was a quick hour, but I'll be back in 2 weeks. Brad will be next week, and yeah, if you guys want to see anything in particular, please put it in the chat or in the comments below, because the chat will close when this is done. And yeah, like Brad said, hit the thumbs up. We enjoy doing these for you. If you like it, hit a thumbs up. If not, it's okay. We're good. I can accept constructive criticism. These are not scripted. I just go off the cuff and just enjoy sharing what I have up here in my head to share it with you guys. So thank you for being part of our day and using Fusion 360. And with that, be safe. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. See ya.